9 o'clock, next Tuesday night. And the moderators are David Muir of ABC News and the lesser known Lindsay Davis, who's obviously a political director at ABC News and is also, I believe, an African American woman. The debate is the first, as I've said, between Trump and Harris, the first for this duo. And this is ever since Joe Biden's debate performance in late June pushed Biden then allegedly, pushed him to suspend his reelection bid. I've talked a lot about that this was the earliest presidential debate in our nation's history. And I am suspicious of that. Was this a plan? Were the Democrats looking at all the polls? Did they fear that Biden, and not just because of his age or his mental acuity, whatever you want to say. I really think it had to do with the polls and the lackluster polls with Biden. I will always believe that. But in any event, this is the first time that these two face off. And so what are the rules of the debate that they have agreed on? So reportedly, the rules include, yes, the muted mic of a candidate who's not being addressed with a question. The candidates will be standing behind a podium, no opening statements, no notes. And this will be a 90-minute debate, which we always say in the morning, we have to make sure we all take a nap if we're going to stay up late so you don't have to. I think it's notable that it's at the National Constitution Center. And this after the weekend where the New York Times, of all publications, had put into question during an op-ed, and I talked about this yesterday, put in an op-ed that, the question, is the Constitution dangerous? And we need to look at the Constitution. And that's where I think all of us have to take a second look at what's happening here. We saw Merrick Garland here in Philadelphia yesterday. And when I see just the image, just take away the issue of whether or not you think the Russians were, trying to infiltrate conservative media and this conservative media company and maybe some of your favorite commentators. I'd met Benny Johnson when he was here hosting an event with Vivek Ramaswamy, if you remember, during the primaries. And so Benny is one of those individuals saying, well, it looks like we were the victims of some kind of a plot by the Russians to try to influence the upcoming, presidential debate, whatever. I think, once again, you can't fall for the bait. Zoom out a little bit. Why does Merrick Garland care? Why is Merrick Garland or DOJ within the Biden-Harris administration? Remember that. Merrick Garland, we know he is a political animal. Why was he here in Philadelphia holding a news conference saying, oh, we're worried about foreign enemies influencing our elections? Or is he trying to just discredit conservative media in general, kind of poke holes in that? Because they know that these influencers are breaking through. These influencers, and you think about Trump going on, and we played, who was it, Friedman? We played Friedman. We've played all these different influencers, where Trump and J.D. Vance are going on all these different podcasts, and all of a sudden you have our government and in particular the Biden administration and the DOJ and the feds going, whoa, let's look at this social media. This is a relatively new animal, and they're looking at this thinking, ruh-roh, this is making inroads, and we're worried about this. That's what I see. That's my theory on all of this. But the big number, the big prize is Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes. And yes, presidential hopefuls need us to make it through to the White House. We are the most precious. Remember, the precious. We are precious. And our 19 electoral votes are precious to anybody who wants to make it into the White House. And that's why everybody's here. That's why the debate is here. That's why Merrick Garland was here. And that's why you're seeing all of this swirl around Pennsylvania. So keep your eye on that one. Harris and Trump, they're camped out in Pennsylvania. Have you noticed? So Trump was here last night. I don't know if you watched Hannity. Hannity carried it live. I did. I stayed up. I watched the whole. I was up anyway. It's the beginning of school. It's very exciting, and they're on the football field with the night lights, and they're practicing until all late hours of the night ahead of tomorrow night's game. And it's just an exciting time. I think I'm going on adrenaline, getting the crock pot out and all that good stuff, cooking. You know, even though it was 80 degrees, it's still crisp and cool. And when we wake up in the wee hours of the morning and make our way here to Odyssey World headquarters, it's still dark and it's cold. I mean, it's in the 50s when we come into work. And for some of you, it's probably, depending on where you live, in the 40s. But, you know, like I say, Harris and Trump, they're basically camped out here. Let's listen to a snippet of this. This is Trump. So I know they pre-taped it. In other words, they started taping, I believe, 5:36-ish in front of a live, very enthusiastic, electric audience here in Pennsylvania in Harrisburg with Sean Hannity. And they pre-taped it, but they're breaking it up into two parts. So I know Dave McCormick was there, and we won't really hear much from McCormick until tonight. But let's listen to, you know, some of what Trump had to say last night.
You paid a very big price for getting into the political arena. Never mind opportunity costs that you would have had. You've had a successful business. Obviously, you've been a victim of lawfare, if you will, or a weaponized Department of Justice. Although the Supreme Court ruling on immunity, I think, was very clear, although certain judges may not abide by it.
Yeah.
And I listened to you talk about the borders. I listened to you talk about how dangerous the world situation is. I listened to you talk about the economy and fracking and the need for energy, and I hear you. And then I asked myself, okay, why is this different? If 2016 was about the forgotten man and forgotten woman, what is 2024 about?
So it's not that different. It's still about the forgotten man and the forgotten woman. The people are being treated horribly in this country. We're a country that's being laughed at all over the world. And I'll be honest, if Joe Biden would be a great president, I would be happier than being the worst president in the history of our country, because I want to see what's good for the country. And I would have been very happy. I have very nice places I could be. This is not easy. I got shot at, you know, I mean, I got hit. I got hit. I could have been all over that place. I could have, but you know what? It's very simple, and it starts with make America great again. That's what we have to do.
Listen to this crowd. Just going crazy, so we'll pause it there. But, you know, that's just it, that Trump is not the big loser. If Kamala Harris, and this is tough for me to even say this because, you know, just a month ago, she was even by so-called mainstream media considered to be the lesser and to be, by some accounts, incompetent or not ready to take on the big job. So it's hard to me to even verbalize, you know, thinking about what if the current Vice President Kamala Harris, who's just now apparently getting out some of her policy statements, and here we are, tick-tock, right before November 5th election, early voting starts, you know, now in some states, next week here in Pennsylvania. My goodness. Who is the biggest loser? It's not Trump. The guy's a billionaire. He has a beautiful life. He has a gorgeous wife. He has a gorgeous family, kids, grandkids. So Trump, you know, think about this. He is not the biggest loser. You know who's the biggest loser? We are. The American people, all American people. Whether you vote for him or not, and whether you realize it or not, we the people are the biggest losers if Trump does not win this next election. And that's the honest to goodness truth. Think about Trump and his family. You know, think about, you know, his youngest child, who's still a teenager, just turned 18, is going to NYU, wants to go into business school. He and his family, they're going to be just fine. And by the way, he, unlike the vast majority of other past presidents. He did not make his fortune by becoming a career politician. Okay, that's not how he got rich. And I think that needs to be said. He became wealthy and he did not inherit this wealth. Did he inherit some money? And the money, by the way, was split among a bunch of, family members. But did he inherit money? Sure. He inherited money from his family. Okay. But they were not, his dad was not, they were not billionaires. They did not have that kind of legacy wealth or whatever you want to call it. Okay. This guy has worked his entire life. And again, I'll point out to you, loved and a media darling until he put an R behind his name. And since the day he put an R behind his name, think about his life. He's lost money. Okay. His adult kids have lost money, by the way. Look it up. But as well, I mean, there's another court appearance, or not, he's not appearing, but his lawyers are going to be in court again for another persecution, right, involving all these cases against him. He's been dragged through the courts. He's been dragged through the mud. He's been shot at. As far as his kids, they've been demonized and vilified. And this family, they were beloved. They were media darlings. And so what the media did this morning, as they're talking about it, they're just absolutely bashing him now for questioning ABC News, for questioning, and why. Of course he has a right to question ABC News. And by the way, and I don't know which clip Henry's going to play next. I know you have a few clips, Henry, so let me interrupt myself because it's 10:14 and I want to stay to time here. But which clip do you want to play next of Trump? You want to know? We have Trump. He is questioning ABC News whether or not they will be fair. We have that one. And maybe we'll take a quick break and get your thoughts as well and play these on the other side. But we have Trump questioning ABC News and their fairness. Well, why wouldn't they after George Stephanopoulos, who, by the way, was an operative? He worked in the Clinton White House. He's a big Democrat. He's donated to the Democrats. But also, let us not forget that Donna Brazile, who quite frankly is a very entertaining individual, she is entertaining, but she's a Democrat operative. We now know that she leaked those questions to Hillary Clinton ahead of that famous 2016 debate. I will submit to you that it doesn't matter if the questions get leaked. Does not matter if they leak them to Kamala Harris. She's going to blow it. She'll say something stupid. She'll show her ineptitude. She's not and I think Kamala Harris, I'm going to disagree with a lot of people. I think she's an attractive lady. I think that her marriage to Dougie is cute, and the fact that her stepkids call her Mamala, that's cute. The fact that, she did have a second chance in life, if you will, because as a career woman and whatever happened in her love life, she had a chance at age 50. Second chance at life, right? At age 50, finds love, gets married, becomes a step parent. Good for her. Good. I don't like this whole narrative of making fun of somebody or hating. That's not me. I'm really genuinely looking at the issues, and I'm saying, what are her issues, and is she credible, and is she believable? I'm going to talk about just in New Hampshire yesterday, and we'll get to that as well, what she has come out with. And she's trying to essentially have milder views than Biden with regard to her economic plan. But I still do not find her as a credible individual with economic policies that are going to work, are going to bring back the economy. We'll get your thoughts on that. 855-839-1210. You'll hear more from Trump during last night's big town hall meeting. A lot of energy, what he has to say, how the media is interpreting that versus Kamala Harris speaking out in New Hampshire. And then J.D. Vance is going to be in Pennsylvania as well. Tim Walz was here yesterday. So we are the hub, if you will, of election activity here in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. Quick break, your thoughts, 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Talk Radio 1210's Huge Politics and Pints with Donald Trump Jr. is Thursday, September 12th. Be there as Dom Giordano talks to Donald Trump Jr. about the election, politics, and all things Trump. Thursday, September 12th at Scottish Rite Auditorium in Collingswood. Your tickets include a copy of Letters to Trump by former President Trump. A cash bar will be available. Get your tickets now at 1210WPHT.com.
Hi, it's Rich Zioli. I'm joined here today by my friend, the co-president and CEO of Cooper University Healthcare, the one and only Dr. Anthony Mazzarelli. Dr. Maz and I are here to tell you about our buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria. Not only is he my dentist, he's my family's dentist as well. And not sure if you knew this, he's Dr. Maz's dentist too.
That's right, Rich. Dr. Mike Veneria is and has been my dentist also. And, doctors choosing doctors, that can be quite a selective process. And not only do I go to him, but for years, my sister and my niece and my nephew, the whole family goes.
Well, it's no secret. We're all delighted by the care that Dr. Mike Veneria and his award-winning team provide, and you need to check him out.
Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, implant dentistry, you don't need to look any further. Dr. Veneria's office does everything. Dr. Veneria's office also exceeds all CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control, like their centralized UV sterilization of airflow, which is incredibly important to me.
Locations are right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Your perfect smile's waiting. Call 856-786-2020 or visit veneriadental.com.
I am Judith Krupnik, president of Cherry Hill Volvo. I drive an absolutely fabulous XC90 hybrid, the best of both electric and internal combustion. It's really an incredible Volvo. We are offering a $15,000 discount when leasing any 2024 XC90 hybrid in stock. If ever an XC90 was on your list, now is the time to visit Cherry Hill Volvo. $15,000.
The economic uncertainty surrounding this year's election is worse than ever before. But crash-proof consumers rest easy. Their retirement future is election-proof.
I'm Rochelle Porto, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Leading up to the election, we're seeing how bad the economy is and how worried people are. I was looking for a way to secure my investments. That's why I joined Crashproof in 2014. There's no fees, no risk, and growth every year. My principal has never gone down. I've always earned every year. Everything I've earned in that year creates a new principal, so I'm never going to lose what I actually put in. I've got the freedom to live out my dreams, and I've got the peace of mind to know that my retirement's going to go the way I want. No matter what happens on November 5th, 2024, I'm safe. I'm with Crash Proof Retirement.
Learn how you can election-proof your retirement future. Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at the William Penn Inn, September 17th. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
It's not just about watching the game, it's about betting on it. I'm Mike Valeni, and on Cash the Ticket, Jim Costa and I break down every college football and NFL matchup like it's the last game we're ever going to watch, from the best bets to the sneaky underdogs, and of course, as my co-host likes to say, the value. And the one thing we're not going to do is pretend we're professionals. We have fun with it, it's an entertainment product, and it makes watching games a hell of a lot of fun. So Cash the Ticket, follow it in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Cherry Hill. We know your favorite station is WPHT. Tell your smart speaker, play 1210 WPHT.
Back to school, so much going on today. My goodness. As we look at in the news, and let me just give you a quick news update as far as what's going on and contrast that with nationally, and then we'll get back to Henry has a Trump issue going on, so we'll play that for you as well. But as far as the latest headlines this morning in Philadelphia, overnight and into this morning, Philadelphia police actually searching for at least 3 different killers, the newest killers, if you will, in Philadelphia. One, a gunman who took out a young man in his early 30s. That happened right in Old City, not so far from where I'm reporting from, right in front of, busy bars and restaurants, which were bustling. It was a beautiful evening, hump day celebrations going on, business people and others, just having dinner and enjoying themselves, and then hearing these gunshots ring out in Old City, Philadelphia. We still don't have answers, but this individual walking out to the street was shot and killed by somebody who sped away in a car shot 5 times. They did recover a firearm on the street, but we don't know, was that the firearm that the killer used? Was that the firearm owned by the victim in this case? In South Philadelphia, there was another individual, a man stabbed to death in South Philadelphia. And then in the Kensington section of Philadelphia, a young father who was holding his baby, he was also shot and killed. So we don't have word of any arrests or who those even suspects are, but we know that there were surveillance images that are now coming out that are being released as Philadelphia police search for those individuals. And I will say that even over the summer, or if you want to zoom out and look at the entire year in Philadelphia, how many hundreds of children under the age of 18, children, juveniles, teens, shot in the city of Philadelphia? And it's not described as a mass shooting, even when it is. It's not covered as a mass shooting as it should be. And so think about in Philadelphia, where is all the national outrage, the national coverage, when we have the shootings involving children, whether it's on school grounds, whether it's inside a school, or whether it's, near a school or on a school bus stop. And I just think about that. We had that horrible shooting that was, at the end of last school year. We had multiple school shootings or school bus stop, which are SEPTA bus stop shootings. You never saw the national news media here. And think about if you just catch a glimpse of the national media covering this tragedy that's unfolding in Georgia, as we think about a 14-year-old who went into school yesterday, opened fire on other high school freshmen, killed 2 of them, one of them on the autism spectrum, killed and murdered 2 beloved teachers. At least one of them we know was a special education math teacher who was a dedicated man and also was one of the football coaches there at the high school and was beloved. So what we won't hear about this school shooter, this latest one in Georgia, what we won't hear in the headlines was what prescription medication was he on? We need to start asking the question, what prescriptions were these kids on? Were they allergy meds? Were they depression, anti-anxiety meds? What meds were they prescribed? And so we need to I just want to put that on your radar. Let's think about that. And here in Philadelphia, when we think about school children or school-age children, and then what happens when somebody's on all kinds of under the watch of schools and the government when they're below the age of 18, and then what happens when they get above the age of 18 and they don't want to go on those meds anymore and they go off of their meds. We want to think about prescription medication for children, adults, everybody, and I'm just putting that on your radar. I want to think about that and look into that more and have those future conversations. But just think about the media coverage, bias by omission, because we experience that each and every day here in Philadelphia. We deserve, and across the country, our major cities, we deserve the same coverage that the national media is giving the coverage there in Georgia. And there's a reason for that, because it doesn't fit the narrative, right? And so that's what's going on. I will also say this, the Department of Education, which is a failure, but the Department of Education demands that children, and our laws, whether they're local, state, or federal, demand that children get an education. I think education is a good thing. I think education is the key to solving all of our societal problems. But at the same time, think about what I started out with this morning, saying that there's all of this security already underway for our National Constitution Center, for former President Trump and Vice President Harris, right, to debate here at the National Constitution Center. Security is the focus. They'll put up fences. They're putting up all kinds of different barriers. There will be road closures and all the security happening and all these security experts. But who will guard and who does guard Trump? Who? Who guards Vice President Harris? Who guards them? people who have people who have firearms, right? Armed guards guard our lawmakers, our Capitol buildings, our federal buildings. They're all guarded. They're all secure. Who's not guarded? If schools, and I'm really serious about this, if schools are mandated by the federal government, then tap into that Pentagon budget and make sure that this is an issue of security, of national security. And if schools are mandated by the federal government the kids have to go to school and teachers have to be there, then they should be guaranteed safety, just like every federal employee in a federal building, just like all of our lawmakers, whether they're state level or local level, or whether try to walk into Philadelphia City Hall today and see if you go through security. Of course you will. So, okay, then make our schools secure. Have armed guards at the schools and vet these kids and ask the question, if you have kids who are, and I will put money on the table that this 14-year-old who's now going to be charged as an adult was diagnosed with something, was on some kind of prescription meds. I'll put money on it. And I don't mean to be invasive with somebody else's business, but I can tell you that at the private school level, it's the policy of most private schools that if a child is deemed to have a mental health issue, and if until that school gets clearance, that student is not a danger to themselves or to anybody else, that kid is banned and barred from attending that private school. That's a policy in, check it out, most private schools. Is it a policy of public schools? Do they even realize it? These are all good questions that I'm asking, and I'm putting this out there to think this through, because none of us can allow the so-called mainstream media and the current politicians who are in charge to think this through and solve these issues. These are solvable issues. It is not acceptable that we have these kinds of shootings in a workplace, at a school. Should not happen. But let's just think about all of that. I know we have great audio. We'll get to all of it. Your thoughts, 855-839-1210 is the number to call. And we'll have some fun today, too. What will you be doing this weekend? It's, as we wind down from summer. And I just realized I was talking to Henry Machette, our great producer, and Jimmy Kelly, our great engineer, as we were thinking about this weekend. And I wanted to go to, because Zioli's in Cape May tomorrow. And I intended to go. I wanted to go. I'm just realizing I'm going to be, because of high school football. We got Friday Night Football under the lights here in Philadelphia tomorrow with my son David playing, and I have a conflict. And you know what I'm always going to choose? My kids.
Of course. It's a shame the Battle for the Shore wasn't this weekend.
Darn it.
Instead of 2 weeks ago.
I know, because that was a noon game, but now it's a 7 p.m. game. It's frustrating. I want to be in two places at once. So I know some of you will be headed down the shore tomorrow all the way to Cape May to be with Zioli. It's going to be beautiful. And I'm so disappointed that I can't be there with you one of these nights, for sure. But, when you think about your summer road trip, and we're still in summertime, when you think about hitting the road, I want you to think about my friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles. They're always going to help you find that luxury vehicle. You want it, you've earned it, now go get it with a little help from my friends at Piazza. They have thousands of beautiful certified pre-owned vehicles, as well as all the new vehicles. And from some of the most lovely brands on the roadways right now, Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, Jaguar, Maserati, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo, and more. Just visit them, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Stop by one of their many Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware dealers, PIA, ZZA, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Make sure you tell them Dawn sent you.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-246-0553. 800-246-0553. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-246-0553.
Wawa has new Southwest flavors like the roasted chicken fajita veggie quesadilla.
Fajita veggies?
Or the beefsteak burrito with salsa roja.
Salsa roja? Love.
You can also add fire-roasted corn and crispy jalapenos.
No way. All from Wawa.
Oh, you bet. Wawa's always keeping things fresh. And this time, it's with delicious Southwest flavors. Try them in a burrito, bowl, or quesadilla and build it just how you like it. Gotta have a Wawa.
Fargo, your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Fargo is only available on the smartphone versions of the Wells Fargo mobile app. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Are you worried about your roof handling the next storm?
At Emmons Roofing and Siding, we provide top-quality roofing services that fit your budget and stand the test of time.
And our team of roofing experts ensures your home stays safe and dry with durable, reliable roofing solutions to any problems you may have. Plus, at Emmons, we offer free inspections and free estimates.
So call us today at 856-885-6677 or visit callemmons.com.
From top to bottom,
to inside and out,
at Emmons, we have you covered.
At Wawa, you can always find the right drinks for the right time. And Wawa's pumpkin drinks are back sooner than ever, so you can enjoy the best of summer and fall. Enjoy a pumpkin brulee milkshake by the pool. Sip a pumpkin cheesecake smoothie while skateboarding. Or take a pumpkin spice iced coffee on a camping trip. At Wawa, anytime is drink time. And now's the time to feel cool and cozy with Wawa's new pumpkin flavors. Available in milkshakes, cream smoothies, and iced coffee. Gotta have a Wawa.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Free speech lives here with Rich Zioli weekday afternoons 3 till 7 on Odyssey's #1 talk station, 1210 WPHT.
So let's get to some of the audio of Trump in Pennsylvania, which, as you well know, large producer of natural gas, one of the largest in the nation. We sit on this, really a gold mine for Pennsylvania. I said in the past, don't you wish that we had a governor who did what Sarah Palin did back in the day? Remember where every person in Alaska got a rebate check? Wouldn't that be nice? Because we're one of the largest producers of natural gas. We should, think about your PICO bill. I get these energy things, and PICO, I don't even understand it because we were down the shore for like 5 days. I turned off the HVAC. I was going around, unplugged everything. I'm turning off the HVAC. And they're like, you have the same amount of energy that you used last week. I'm like, how is that even possible? So we should be getting those rebate checks here in Pennsylvania. But he talked about energy, talked about Pennsylvania, and of course was comparing his record, his policies, to that of those that Harris campaigned on when she was running for president in 2020. So Henry has a piece of that.
She wants to raise corporate taxes. She wants to raise small business taxes, capital gain taxes, estate taxes, the international corporate minimum tax, to the point where America won't be competitive anymore. And your tax cuts are about to expire in 2025. What does this mean for the economy? What does it mean for everybody here struggling?
So I gave you the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. If you let the Trump tax cuts expire, which he wants to do, she wants to terminate them. If you do that, you will suffer the biggest tax increase in history. There's never been a tax increase like it. On top of which, she wants to add a lot of tax. This country will end up, and I've said this a lot, and I mean it, this country will end up in a depression if she becomes president, like 1929. This will be a 1929 depression. She has no idea what the hell she's doing.
What if she...
And so it's no mistake that, all of these so-called mainstream media sources, and I'll just look at a few, CNN, Reuters, The Hill, no doubt, and many others, headline, Goldman Sachs sees biggest boost to U.S. economy from a Harris win. I know that you're shocked by these headlines. Goldman Sachs, this is The Hill. Goldman Sachs, Trump policies would slow down the economy. And so there's another one here. A Kamala Harris win and a Democratic sweep would give the biggest boost to the economy. So that's another. These are all the headlines that they're. It's like, well, how did they get her whole economic plan? By the way, because we don't have it. We're getting it by kind of dribs and drabs, are we not? But the vice president says that she's adding tax relief for small businesses to her economic policy platform. Guys, I guess I'm talking to Henry and Jimmy here. I guess she filled some job positions, because remember, as of early last week, she was still filling a ton of job policy. So I guess the policy director position has been filled.
I mean, it would appear so. I think I saw a headline too. What was the one position she was hiring for that was 4 times its going rate? What was that?
Oh, well, those were the black jobs.
I saw that job got filled.
It did?
Yes.
Okay.
So someone is a very rich person today.
Well, and it ain't any of us.
No, but seriously, look it up yourself under under her campaign website. They literally say black campaign manager, black, and they issue these so-called black jobs. And so will they fill those with anything other than an individual who is African American? I doubt it. But those jobs, the majority of them, look for yourself if you don't believe me. We noted when we looked at it, those jobs were only making about 65 to 85 grand a year. And the other jobs that don't specify any ethnicity or group, those jobs were going at much higher rates, 95 grand to up to 140-ish grand. But Vice President Kamala Harris, so while Trump was here yesterday, and she'll be here in Pennsylvania today, she's announced in New Hampshire she's adding tax relief for small businesses to her economic policy platform. And she says this is aimed at helping middle class as well as working Americans. So she unveiled this proposal yesterday. It was an unveiling just yesterday. Think about it. To increase the existing small business tax deduction for startup costs and then cut the red tape that impedes small businesses' formation and growth. By the way, CNN, I'm looking at the way it's being reported because I love to do this. CNN says she is proposing to massively increase the small business tax deduction. So her goal is 25 million new small business applications by the end of her first term, up from the record 19 million received under the Biden administration as of mid-August. This is CNN's writing. So I just wanted you to know the source of who's saying this. She also says that, and by the way, the deduction for those small businesses for the first timers, $50,000. That's the deduction. And then Harris says also yesterday, she announced this during the unveiling, also proposing raising the capital gains tax rate, though by not as much that President Biden had called for. So I believe her percentage is 28%. I think Biden wanted 38%, if I'm correct on that one. 855-839-1210, the number to call. Kevin, like the Home Alone Kev. Hey, Kevin, Bucks County.
Good morning.
Calling in. Hey, good
morning.
morning.
How are you? I'll just make it quick. With regards to medications, as you might know, my daughter is an art therapist, so she works with kids on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you firsthand. So again, I'm a layman, but I can just tell you from stories. You typically have SSRIs, which is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That actually is trending right now on Twitter because I guess RFK Jr. had interviewed with Smirkanish sometime back. But then you also have SNRIs, which is selective norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. And it's like never the twain shall meet, because you should never give Adderall to someone who's taking other, because they can go into a psychotic break. And I know people that have had taken the medication, gained 50 pounds in 6 months because it was the wrong medication, because it's still not an exact science.
Right.
There's a lot of testing, and sometimes it's a crapshoot. They'll throw a cocktail at them, and then it's a process of elimination. So with respect to this kid, he might have been on the wrong meds. He might not even been on any meds. So I just want to let the audience know that it's not an exact science yet. Even though we've made a lot of headway, we're not quite there.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I appreciate you, Kev. I think the truth is, with all of these meds, and there are studies out there, and every once in a while, I'll bring it forth, but it's relevant when we talk about what's happening with amid this mental health crisis, and is it all being supersized? And I always do worry about something too, and that is, we always in my television news days, we were always told to beware of covering suicides. We didn't cover the bomb threats because of copycat situations, school shootings. We have to cover, shootings and school shootings. But I would point out to you that yesterday, and the day before, a lot of people were covering the Nashville shooter update because that so-called diary or the so-called manifesto was being released. And we know, and you can check this out for yourself, but psychiatrists will tell you this, doctors will tell you this, the copycat issue is real. And so when somebody who's already mentally ill and they're back to school and now they're hearing in all the headlines about the school shooters, that in fact that can empower them or embolden them, which is really sick. I know that, but the media plays a role in this. And I can tell you in newsrooms across the country, we had conversations about it all the time, and we were very careful in how we reported these kinds of situations. So we do have that going on. But Kevin, I appreciate you. Joe, good morning. 855-839-1210, the number to call. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Dawn. All anyone has to do is pay attention to the contrast in both candidates' themes with these taxes. This administration, they have to pay for their frivolous spending somehow. And they have to pay big because they don't know how to do any kind of creativity and just influx of money circulation. The carrots that she throws out there, we're going to give you this, we're going to pay for that. It's never going to happen. It's never going to be realized because they know they got to pay this debt down somehow. And it's just going to be a multiple of taxes, not just on the 1%ers, but on us all. So when she says, we're going to give this for free, we're going to give this rebate and this incentive, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And I believe you, but how does, when the media is gushing over all of these, I read to you the wording that CNN used in their reporting when they say, oh, massively give these tax incentives and this is awesome and it's even better than from Joe. You look at the way that they word this. How does somebody like Trump get any kind of a fair coverage or a real analysis of these policies? And so
Well, Dawn, that's why this debate is so important. He's got to do it right. He's got to address her at a point, and it's theatrics and it's sculpting. He's got to look at her at a point and say, Kamala, do you realize what you're doing to these people? Then he's got to look at the camera and talk to the people. Kamala, do you realize what you're doing is unrealistic? It's unfeasible. You're selling these people a bill of goods. And then look at the camera and say, folks, this cannot happen the way she's doing it. We have 3.5 years proof of it. He's got to get intimate.
Yeah, got to give the details. It's true. Yeah.
Because she sure isn't. She's not. Give her details for her. She needs it.
Yeah. Joe, thanks a million. I appreciate you. I really do. And some of your insights. I believe that he's making these broad statements that he has said previously at rallies. And so, we were saying in the commercial break earlier that I think the best interview, the best town hall I've seen with Trump was actually with Laura Ingraham, who I don't know. I didn't necessarily think of her as this great interviewer, perhaps, but I think that when you're good friends with somebody, and I think Hannity and Trump go way back. I actually think they're friends, but I think that when Hannity is holding these, he's telling stories about himself and he kind of is relaxed. And so is Trump. And so you're not getting the detailed information that you would normally get from a more formal interview where somebody's saying, well, what do you mean by that? And so I think it ends up, it's not as effective, I would think, for a campaign. That's just my take. 855-839-1210. Always appreciate your insights for sure. Let's take a quick break. But before we do, I got to talk about my kitchen. I think about, moving forward. Fall is almost here. We're back to school. Then you think about the holidays and entertaining, which room you end up in. Of course, everybody ends up in the kitchen every single time. I'm always like, get out of my kitchen. Go over there. Go over there. Nope. Everybody wants us to be in the kitchen. It's really the central place in the home, the heart of the home. And when it comes to your home, trust is everything. That brings me to my friends at Kitchen Magic. For 45 years, Kitchen Magic has built this wonderful reputation for transforming kitchens with precision, with care, with professionalism, and they really do it all. Custom cabinets, countertops, backsplashes, all the storage solutions, that's critical too, and they get the job done fast. So in just a few days, your dream kitchen comes alive. It becomes a reality without all the hassle, without all the waiting, without all the inconvenience. It's important. You want to trust the name your neighbors have relied upon for decades. Kitchen Magic. Get your free in-home consultation at kitchenmagic.com and cook up something extraordinary. kitchenmagic.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Do you know your numbers? What numbers? Your heart health numbers, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, and your body mass index. They're important, so ask your doctor. Learn your numbers, and if something doesn't seem right with them, see a Deborah specialist at one of our offices throughout South Jersey. After all, when it's your heart, you don't take chances. Find a specialist near you at demanddeborah.org.
With NJ Diet, you can lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. They have customers that have lost 37 pounds, 100 pounds, and over 120 pounds, and they've kept it off. You'll have more energy, and you'll probably see better lab results. NJ Diet uses your hair, saliva, and blood work to provide you personalized natural formulas and supplements so you can lose the weight, and DNA testing will help you keep it off. Lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days, contractually guaranteed. Go to njdiet.com.
Window Nation presents the 1210 WPHT Veteran Spotlight in partnership with the Travis Manion Foundation. Listen the first Wednesday of every month as Kale and Company shines a spotlight on a local veteran. highlighting their remarkable commitment to the community and their exceptional service in the military. Presented by Window Nation. At Window Nation, there's nothing more important than giving back to the communities we serve. For all of your window and door needs, visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com.
Texting enrolls in recurring automated text marketing messages. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply. Reply help for help or stop to opt out.
Are you drinking too much? Is alcohol affecting your relationships? Could drinking be affecting your job?
Hi, I'm Jonathan, founder of OR Health. I struggled with alcohol misuse for 15 years. I tried self-help, therapy, and traditional 12-step programs, but nothing really worked. That's why I started OR Health. OR Health provides access to safe and effective medication, FDA approved for the treatment of alcohol issues. A daily pill proven to reduce alcohol cravings and make it easier to drink less or quit.
To join the thousands who are drinking less or who have quit altogether, text CHECK to 710-710. You'll be sent a secure link to OR Health's private online assessment. If treatment is right for you, a licensed medical professional will prescribe medication for discreet and convenient delivery to your door. Just text CHECK to 710-710. That's CHECK to 710-710.
Not available in all states. For SMS terms, privacy policy, risk, and restrictions, please go to orhealth.com/terms. Use as directed.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You've heard me talk over the years a lot about FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little bit different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So just visit FanDuel.com/Dom to download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. You have to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds, terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, Clementon. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
Philadelphia City Council will be in session today, talking about many issues, including one that Mayor Sherrell Parker brought up yesterday, which was saying that the Philadelphia Sixers remaining in Philadelphia, not being stolen away by South Jersey, by Camden, and some big tax breaks that I had talked about yesterday that Governor Phil Murphy had announced. So that is one of the many issues that Philadelphia City Council will be looking into. So much happening today. We know that, for example, Donald J. Trump will be speaking out at noon. And many of the candidates, Kamala Harris is back in Pennsylvania today. We have J.D. Vance, who's in, I believe, Hershey today. So you think about, how we are really in the national spotlight. And that is because our 19 electoral votes, your vote, is coveted and prized by all of these candidates coming through. So 855-839-1210, the number to call. We do have Betsy Brandner Smith. She'll be calling in the next hour, and we'll be talking about these policing issues. There are a lot of different police in the crosshairs, police in the news, whether that is the investigation into Butler, Pennsylvania, some of those theories that I got into yesterday, the school shooting tragedy that is unfolding, continuing, as we learn more about that in Georgia. And as well, shootings involving and killings involving kids under the age of 17 here in Philadelphia. Why don't we get the national coverage like these other ones do? There's a real reason for it. We'll get into all of it. Appreciate you today on this chilly fall-like morning, but we're heating up to 80 degrees here in Philadelphia. Quick break. Be right back.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
If you're still waiting for a sign, here's another one. At California Psychics, we reject 98% of the psychics who apply to work for us. So we only connect you with the best. That's how we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And right now, new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Dramatic sound effect incoming. Experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Jury selection beginning today for the president's son, Hunter Biden, in his alleged tax fraud case. That one going on. And we knew this was coming, but so close to the election. Closer to Philadelphia, we have multiple killings overnight in less than 12 hours. Late last night, overnight, into this morning, stabbings, shootings, all under investigation as Philadelphia police experience a very busy night. One story that's getting a lot of reaction is what happened in Old City, Philadelphia, because this is a real hub where you have so many very popular restaurants, bars, clubs, and it was bustling. It was a beautiful night last night between, you think about 2nd and Chestnut Streets in Philadelphia's Old City section. And so you think about all the people who were out and about, even sitting outside at those outdoor tables last night, enjoying themselves on a lovely starry night in Philadelphia. And then this deadly shooting that remains a mystery this morning. Man in his early 30s apparently walks out of one of these establishments and is gunned down. And that individual sped off in a vehicle. So we don't have any answers, but they are releasing some new surveillance images this morning. And then, of course, all the questions surrounding what went on with regards to that Georgia high school shooting, what we know about the 4 victims, what we know about the alleged, I have to say alleged, shooter, the 14-year-old who did not want to commit suicide by cop and wanted to live, apparently. So now maybe we'll get some answers as far as the motivation and the mental health of that individual. We've talked a lot about it this morning. Let's get to my next guest, the great Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith, National Police Association, which, yes, is a 501c3 nonprofit doing great things across America and here in our region. Hey, Betsy, good morning.
Good morning, Dawn. Great to be with you. You guys had a crazy night.
Yes. Yeah, crazy night in Philadelphia. You know, earlier I had said, Betsy, that just from my perspective, and I am a longtime Philadelphia resident, when I see the mass shootings that do happen here and the hundreds of shootings that target school age, youngsters, teens, juveniles, kids. There was a 1-year-old who was in the arms of, their father who was shot in the Kensington section of Philadelphia. The dad was sitting outdoors, and we don't know the circumstance because it's too early. They're investigating this, but you think about all the children shot. But Betsy, we never get the kind of coverage that the national media right now, all reporting live. I mean, today's show, all the different shows, they all led with the tragedy that obviously unfolded in Georgia at that high school. But we never get that coverage, and I always point that out because many of our shootings happen, and they're targeting innocent children, and either they're on school property, just off school property, or maybe on a school bus stop. And so we don't get the coverage, and I think it's because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look, we still, are trying to get the full manifesto from the Covenant school shooter in Nashville because that particular shooting did not fit the narrative. And I think, Don, we have sadly 20,000 homicides a year around this country. And the school shooting in Georgia is horrific and maddening and frightening for every parent who is sending a kid off to school, this fall. But we have a larger narrative that we need to talk about. But unfortunately, the legacy media doesn't do what they ought to be doing.
And so one of the revelations and I agree with what you just said, one of the revelations that we're now hearing about and that authorities there in Georgia are admitting to is that this 14-year-old is somebody who was known to law enforcement, was even previously on their radar at the federal and local level. What do you have to say about that?
Well, so what happened last year, the FBI was able to trace several online threats to schools back to this young man who was 13 at the time. They turned it over to the local law enforcement authorities who tracked this kid down, interviewed him, interviewed his father. Now, again, he was 13. And the kid denied making any threats. There was not proof positive, because the online stuff's very difficult still. And the dad said, yeah, I have some hunting weapons, but he doesn't have access to them. And then everybody kind of went on their business. Now, I'm going to presume that the school authorities were well aware of this. And I think there was something very telling yesterday that it came out that this young man had just transferred to Appalachia High School. And so I hope that we learn the circumstances of how he came to be at a new school, a public school, and what his mental health treatment history is, what kind of medications he's on, things like that. Because, again, what we're doing now that we didn't do 20 years ago is we take these kids that maybe have criminal propensity, and we need to talk about criminality, Dawn, and we need to talk about evil. So here we have a kid with potential criminal propensity. We put him just in a new school, and this harkens back to the Parkland High School, the Parkland shooting in Parkland, Florida, Marjorie Stoneman Taylor shooting, because that young man as well had been a criminal. He had mental health issues, extraordinary stuff, and yet he's put into this high school through a program called the Promise Program that was widely touted by the Obama administration, and it started in Illinois where I was a cop, and then it went national. We have got to stop focusing on one or two kids with issues and saying they must be mainstream with the rest of the kids. We've got to look at the rest of the kids who are just trying to live their lives, do the right thing, be good students, and stop putting these kids in with them. So I hope that we find out what happened. But again, I saw the headlines. Oh, he was on the FBI radar, and everybody wants to jump on the FBI. Rightfully so. But in this case, they did the right thing. They did their job. So did law enforcement. Parents need to ask themselves, who's going to school with my kid? Who's sitting next to him in algebra? The kids in this school already knew when he came back to that classroom after skipping out on Algebra 1, they said, oh, we thought he was going to skip out on school again. So this kid's already known to the other kids. Why was he in that school? And then we got to go on and talk about hardening the target of our kids' schools. You and I have talked about this several times.
Yes. And so that's just it. I know that unfortunately, this issue becomes political, and career politicians a lot of time. I feel like this issue is nothing new, and they can campaign on it, they can fundraise on it, and they never solve the issue. For me personally, I think everybody else, every other lawmaker, every other public building has security. And I've never understood why they don't tap into the huge, biggity big Pentagon budget and just make our schools secure. Just boom, make it secure.
You're absolutely right. You can't walk into the studio, Dawn, I'm guessing, without going through several locks the doors, saying hi to an armed security guard, and having several other fail-safe things. I can't go to my county board of supervisors meeting without going through a metal detector and chatting with a security guard who's going to wand me if I've got bulges anywhere. Can't go to a city council meeting. Can't go to traffic court. Why are we allowing our children to be sitting ducks in situations like this? Now, this was a fellow student. How did he get an AR-15 into that school, Dawn? Or how did he go out, retrieve it, and come back? And I know the thought process is we don't want our kids to go through metal detectors. It's too arduous. It makes school like prison. Well, you know what? I guess having a school more like a courthouse, not a prison, a courthouse or a city council meeting is better than having these mass shootings at our schools. Although I want to remind everybody, school shootings, it seems like there's a million of them. Don't believe your lying eyes. They're actually relatively rare. Most of the 20,000 homicides we see around this country are by other means. But you made such a great point that these politicians love to campaign on these issues, but they do nothing to solve it. The left has been talking about more gun control for at least a decade, and all they want to talk about is assault weapons and background checks. How about talking about criminality? How about talking about evil? How about talking about mental health? How about talking about incarcerating criminals? They don't want to talk about any of that. They want to blather about the NRA. And then let's talk about how they have demonized the American law enforcement officer for the last 4 years, really the last 10 years, and yet who stopped this kid yesterday? 2 school resource officers and he was confronted by a school resource deputy. And remember, for 4 years now, we've been being told cops in the schools are dangerous.
Yeah. Well, not in this case. It could. I mean, it's horrifying enough as it is, but these two school resource officers who, stopped this kid and said, essentially said, do you want to die today? So it wasn't a death by cop situation. Some of them want that, and that's another story. But, I want to bring you to another headline, and that is in Philadelphia, just within the last couple of days, and this is being reported today, that one of the headlines in our Philadelphia Inquirer was police misconduct lawsuits have cost Philadelphia taxpayers $60 million over the past 18 months. Now, you might assume that some of this has to do with, this is a gross misconduct by all these officers. Some of these lawsuits involve officers who were wrongly persecuted or are currently being persecuted, and they get a change of venue, and they're on trial, and then they're exonerated, and they get an appeals process. So some of that is in here, but are law enforcement agencies being sued more and more often, with regard to this, and then with officer, and I know that the National Police Association, which you represent, actually help officers to fight for their, rights. But are we seeing this more and more, that there's a litigious situation where police officers are involved in this swirl of lawsuits?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, even when I was a cop, I was sued multiple times for absolute nonsense. I was sued once for an issue where I wasn't even there. I wasn't even on the scene. But you can file a lawsuit for, anyone. And so you have these organizations that will take on any sort of quote-unquote police misconduct type case in a civil lawsuit. And what should be happening, and what used to happen, is that this case would get to a judge take a look and say, this is nonsense. And they would toss it out and tell the plaintiff, go, get the hell out of here, go away. And we don't do that anymore. So what happens is the cities and the counties, all these jurisdictions, have to spend money on these cases. They have to hire an attorney. This is why, and this is something the National Police Association is passionate about, this is why qualified immunity is so incredibly important to maintain our United States police force. Because if we did not have qualified immunity, what qualified immunity says is that if I'm the subject of some nonsense, frivolous lawsuit for just doing my job, that my police department has to defend me. If that was not the case, no one would be a cop, because no one could afford it. We'd all lose our houses and our retirements and all that in frivolous cases. And so the reason that these cases cost so much money is judges allow them. The cities and the jurisdictions have to take on the case, hire an attorney. The police officers have to deal with it themselves, and that takes them away from doing their actual jobs. Sometimes they have to be put on desk duty, things like that. And a lot of times these jurisdictions, Philadelphia has done this many times, they will just pay out. It is so much cheaper to pay someone $30,000 and just say go away, for a false complaint, even though everyone knows it's false, rather than pay $100,000 in legal fees.
Yeah, and it's, I could go off on the way it's being reported too, because to your very point, judges agree to take certain cases, and then there are also DAs and prosecutors, and yet our own DA Krasner, among others, they're labeling this as a police issue. Some of these wrongful convictions of people, but of course the police are only one player in all of this. I mean, they make the initial, do the initial investigation, but it's really up to the DA's office, the prosecutors, the judges to go sift through this, right? And so the fact that they put it all on police and make the headline seem different is bothersome to me as well.
Well, and when you talk about misconduct, we're not even talking about criminal cases. We're talking about The officer was rude. The officer scratched my wrist when he handcuffed me. You know, we could go on and on and on and on and on. You know, you can get sued as a police officer for someone getting hurt while they're resisting you and you're trying to handcuff them, and yet they get a $30,000, $40,000 or more payout, even though they initiated the violence. We were doing a lawful arrest, and we were just trying to get them into custody without getting beat up ourselves. We were trying to protect people, things like that. But these people and these judges who allow this will go ahead and file suit. One of the things that we've always encouraged police officers to do, and I wish there was more of it, is that we need to turn the table. When somebody hurts me during an arrest, they fight me, and I break my arm, or and I'm off work for 2 months or whatever, we or our police department need to sue them. We need to start turning the tables on these things, but instead, it's just more efficient and, frankly, more fiscally responsible to just pay out these little settlements. People know that, and they continue to do it. And look at the big settlements. You know, even for Michael Brown, Ferguson, Missouri, 10 years ago is a perfect example. That was a 1,000% righteous police shooting investigated by multiple different organizations, including the Obama administration. They still paid his parents, neither of which had custody of him, by the way. The city of Ferguson still paid his parents multi-million-dollar settlements. Why are we doing that?
Unbelievable. Two stories with the National Police Association. One, they are against these different types of proposals where police officers would have to have personal liability insurance. That one,
yes,
to put the onus on cops.
Crazy. It's almost like malpractice insurance for doctors. Talk to any doctor. My daughter-in-law is a doctor. Her malpractice insurance premiums are insane because she's a surgeon. It's 10 times her mortgage, and that's there is talk that let's make cops have their own liability insurance. Again, this goes back to qualified immunity. Now, I want to remind people that judges and prosecutors and other public officials have absolute immunity. If you're a prosecutor, think about if you could sue Larry Krasner for not doing his job. Half of the county would sue him. But he has absolute immunity, can't sue him. You can sue your police officers, but we have qualified immunity in that when we are in the commission of doing our job and we believe what we were doing was right, even though we violated a policy or this or that, our jurisdiction, our city, county, whatever, has to cover us just like any other employer. Forcing cops to have to pay for liability insurance when it's already a profession that is very, very middle class as far as pay goes, again, would chase people away from the profession. So the National Police Association is absolutely opposed to that. Why are we going to put more on cops? And I'll tell you right now, most cops have a little extra insurance on their homes and things like that, just in case, because we're so worried about losing our personal assets.
Wow. Well, Sergeant Betsy Brantner-Smith, National Police Association, you can go to nationalpolice.org to learn more. And it's really a great site that you talk about. For example, and I didn't even have a chance to get into this, and I love this, the Broken Windows National Campaign, that people can sign on to that petition. And it's a quality of life issue. We see it here in Philadelphia and pretty much, we could say, across the country. I think it's some, quality of life issues such as this one. Betsy, it's just important that people understand what the National Police Association is pushing for. It's for safety, security, and our communities.
Yep. You're absolutely right. We're not a police union. We don't just defend cops and things like that. We're trying to make this nation better and safer for the people who deserve good police protection, and they deserve to just go live their lives as law-abiding citizens, which most people are. Most people aren't criminals, and we want to support them because you know what? They support us.
Amen. We'll stop there. Until next time, my friend, Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith, National Police Association. Thank you, Betsy.
Thanks for having me, Don.
Absolutely. So we do have other developing stories of the day, locally, nationally, what's going on. And of course, here in Philadelphia, Russia. Why? Why was DOJ? Why were they here? Why was Mayor Garland coming to Philadelphia? Why didn't he just do his news conference from D.C.? Why here? And what are they talking about? And is there legitimacy to it? All of these questions, we'll talk about it. We'll have some audio. You'll hear from all of them. Got to talk about my friends from Chapman, the Chapman family team. Mike and Mark Chapman, brothers, grew up here, volunteer firefighters, by the way, working in the community, and just great guys. And I love, the story with my sons, who, Michael and David. I would love for them to go into business someday. But so it's just a great family story, but they do impeccable work. You look them up for yourselves. They have all of the Better Business type accreditations, fully insured, business community awards, very involved, highly respected in the community. And the Chapman family team has certainly done beautiful work in my home. I know they'll do beautiful work in your home as well. They have one of their specials that I want to highlight for you, and you could take a virtual tour at ChapmanWindowsDoors.com. But right now, when you think of your front door, because I just put up the beautiful fall wreath on the front door, and my front door is the one with the skylights on the sides, because I love that. I love the light coming in. But maybe you want to just do something quick. And I will say this is a pretty quick project that gives your home a whole new upgrade and a new look. So think about a new front entry door. Chapman is offering for the entire month of September, you get up to the value of $500 when you update your front door, and they're offering free hardware on that new front door, entry door, up to the value of $500. This is incredible, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna drive up and go, "Oh, I love my new front door." So whether it's a single door, double door, like I say, the one like mine with the side lights, you can trust the Chapman family team. They have an experienced project consultant that is going to work with you and then help you choose that perfect, what's right for you. What do you love? And everything's in writing, because I hear more and more, people saying, "Oh, I had this surprise." There are no surprises with Chapman. Everything is up front. Everything is in writing. They are so they're impeccable, and they're going to give you every detail, so there are no surprises on that one. If you're looking for windows, doors, siding, shutters, stucco remediation, they really do it all. 610-431-8898, 610-431-8898. If you want to text them rather than call, you can do that too. They're local, they're listening, they're like-minded. You're going to love the Chapmans. Check them out, ChapmanWindowsDoors.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
This year's election threatens to erode your retirement future.
Susan Sinoski, Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Depending on who wins the election, it's going to affect the economy as a whole. Costs are just skyrocketing. Medical costs, housing, food especially. And when was the last time you ever heard of a tax decrease? And I have to say, I have no fear at all, because my money is safeguarded with crash-proof retirement. And with our crash-proof retirement system, our money is not just stable, but it's actually increasing much more than we had expected. That money is always added to our principal without anybody getting a cut of that. It's just ours. We earn it, it goes into our account, and it continues to grow and multiply. We have not had a single loss. I'm election-proof. My entire investment for retirement is protected.
Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at the William Penn Inn on Tuesday, September 17th. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
The following is a paid commercial message.
Bob Casey is lying to seniors. Listen to this whopper.
We're lowering prescription drug costs.
Lowering prescription drug costs? Not even close. Prices for medications are soaring. Casey's had nearly 2 decades in Washington. He hasn't fixed it. He's made it worse. Casey even voted for higher taxes on seniors' Social Security benefits. That's right. Casey pushed higher taxes on seniors. Casey also voted for a bill that could raise out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors. Seniors are already struggling with sky-high prices. But instead of helping, Bob Casey is trying to fool seniors and hide his failed record. Casey has had nearly 20 years in Washington. What's he given us? Higher costs and higher taxes. That's the real Bob Casey. He's wrong for Pennsylvania. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. SenateLeadershipFund.org.
Virtua Health, real patients, real doctors, real complex cases. Take one.
I received a kidney transplant at Virtua Health.
Transplants are some of the most complex procedures in medicine.
I thank them for keeping me alive.
We are the only transplant center in South Jersey.
And Virtua is one of the best centers in the country for minimally invasive orthopedic surgery.
I had the hip replacement of the future. I'm back, baby.
Want to follow our stories? Go to virtua.org. Virtua Health, here for good.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by Advocacy United, this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-727-9105. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-727-9105. 800-727-9105. 800-727-9105.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, we are offering the C40 lease for 36 months for under $500 to qualified buyers. This is a really fun Volvo to drive. We also have a huge selection of certified Volvos. And what about $15,000 off when leasing a 2024 XC90 hybrid? This is an incredibly fabulous Volvo. It's the Volvo I drive. Visit us here at Cherry Hill Volvo for the attention and respect you deserve.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? Do it today at 1210 WPHT.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes. And I've, again, worked on that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're a better businessman than I am. Isn't energy, fracking, oil the lifeblood of the world's economy?
So, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania cannot even take a chance because that's the real opinion from her. Now, the whole country would go down the tubes if you didn't do the fossil fuel thing. It just would go. And you can do all sorts of other things, but you know, Germany tried it, and it lasted for about 9 months, and they were going to go down the tubes entirely, and somebody else came in, and I hate to say they're building a coal plant every single week, and they're building nuclear, and they're doing a lot of things. It's never worked. It never will work. But Pennsylvania can't take a chance that that answer is true. But she's been there for 20 years. That's what she's been saying for a long time. And she will do that. There's no chance that she's going to allow it. The election will take place, If she won, you're not going to have any fracking in Pennsylvania. You have 500,000 jobs. Think of that. It's your biggest business. And you get a big majority of your income from fracking. And you have somebody that's not going to allow fracking. She's not going to allow it. You can't take the chance. You have no choice. You've got to vote for me. You've got to vote for me. You got to. Even if you don't like me, you know? Yeah. It's no, but even if you don't like me, you can sit there and say, I can't stand that guy, but there's no way I'm going to vote for her. No, you have to have fracking.
So this is a huge issue because of jobs. And remember, I started out the week by talking about these manufacturing jobs. They're down, and that's impacting a lot of the economic news that we've seen this week. But for Harris, I had told you, and this was about a month ago, that all of a sudden you knew this was coming because Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro really was greasing the wheels, if you will, and helping things out. They came out with this information in Pennsylvania, and Shapiro was backing this, saying, well, studies show that, as long as the companies go about things the right way, and as long as you disclose which chemicals you're using amid the so-called, fracking process, and, as long as you use the right chemicals, then it's okay. It's all good. And the environmental gurus, by the way, were going, what? What are you talking about? And so this, I think, puts people who care about the environment should look at this and say, wow, this is a complete reversal from what Harris seemed to stand for in the past, because we heard her when she was running for president not so long ago. 4 years ago, less than 4 years ago, she vowed to, yes, ban this process. And so now she's just reversing that and saying, no, I haven't changed my values, but I am making this major policy change, essentially. That's what she's saying here. And you've heard me say before, who came up with the term fracking? To come up with this term, it sounds horrible. It starts with an F. It ends with an ING. It involves, this invasive process of shooting these liquids into Mother Earth. You know what I mean? And it's just the way that the energy industry and those who support this, the way they describe it and name it, it sounds horrible. But natural gas, if you believe the experts, they say that this is actually one of the most environmentally friendly types of energy, and it's cheap and it's efficient. And the industry actually says, hey, we've gotten better. We've perfected this. We're using non-toxic chemicals. That's what they're saying. We're using these non-toxic chemicals, and we're doing it the right way. And so now you see this flip-flop, and you see Shapiro and his administration coming out, and they're saying, hey, we're doing it the right way. As long as we do it the right way, and they are requiring, they have all these regulations, we are requiring that they make sure that they report to us which chemicals they used and how they did it. They did it right. As long as they behave, we're going to allow it. Isn't that interesting? But we are the number 2 natural gas producing state, and this is huge for companies. This is huge for jobs. I believe most of them are union jobs, by the way. And so Harris knows this, the Democrats know this, and so suddenly fracking is okay. It's actually good as long as you behave. That's basically what they're saying. So I think that to Kevin Pohl's point when he called in earlier, Trump needs to be more specific about this. So Donald J. Trump needs to explain all of this and explain, first of all, the regulations which are crippling these companies and hurting the jobs and forcing companies even to fold up here in Pennsylvania and leave. So he needs to talk about the jobs, but he needs to talk about the regulation. He needs to also talk about what this means to Pennsylvania and why his policies are better. Because Harris, time and time again, what she's doing is she's coming out and saying, oh, yeah, I'm giving even bigger tax incentives to the small mom and pop companies. And, oh, yeah, I'm allowing fracking as long as they follow the law. So Trump, I think, and perhaps he's not giving the details during the Hannity interview. Here's my thought and my hope. I think that Trump is, not giving all those details because then he's just handing over what he's going to say in a matter of days right here in Philadelphia when he debates Harris. So he's not going to give that best stuff. He's not going to give, just hand her his answers. So that's really what I think. What's your take? 855-839-1210. Are you concerned? I mean, the polls, I don't talk a lot. I know that everybody else leads with the polls and they talk about the polls. I don't even know if I believe the polls anymore, but I'm not talking about the polls. Okay? If every story begins with a recent Fox News poll, CNN has him at a dead tie. I don't even know if I believe the polls anymore, and I kind of hope that the polls show that Kamala Harris is going to win this. You know why? Because, I remember, remember when Jack Ciattarelli could have won the governorship? Do you remember this? And Rich Scioli, what did he say? We were on mornings at this point, and Rich every day said, I'm telling you, these polls are off. And Rich said every day, they're probably doing this on purpose to just dissuade you. And by the way, Trump basically quoted what Scioli last night during the Hannity conversation. Trump basically said this. You don't have to find it. That's all right. Henry always looks at me like, what? Did you want me to go to That's all right. It went on it was like an hour and a half. I'll paraphrase. Trump basically said last night with Hannity what Scioli was saying when Jack Ciattarelli had all the Republicans gone to vote. Ciattarelli would have won. It was that close. Remember this? And how many of you, I know you're listening, you called in that the next morning and you said, oh man, I feel so bad. I should have voted, but I thought it wasn't even close. It's New Jersey. It's blue. And I just figured we didn't have a chance. That's what they want to do. They want you to feel hopeless. So don't listen to the polls anymore. I just got another text. I constantly get this. Dawn, can you? Nope. Don't answer the polls. Don't answer them truthfully. Don't do it. Especially if you're a Republican and you're going to vote for Trump. Don't tell anybody as far as on the polls. And don't listen to it. And don't let it dissuade you because it's part of the game. It's all part of the game. Trump as much said it last night. And just remember what my dear friend, and I'm his Padawan, Rich Scioli said to you during that gubernatorial debate and campaign. If you had gone to vote in New Jersey, Jack Ciattarelli would have become governor. Just think about the differences that we would have seen in New Jersey. So take my word for it, and don't listen to the polls. Don't let them dissuade you. Don't be impacted by them. And also, I think when Trump does see the polls, because there is a mental, psychological impact. That's all part of the game. You think about my sons love MMA and all that. Think about the hype, right? And the hype and the talk and the trash talk, all of that, it impacts you, right? Psychologically. Well, that's all this is. And the media, they're all complicit. So they're trying to psych you out, trying to psych out Trump. That's all part of the game. 855-839-1210, the number to call. Don't listen to them. Don't watch the polls. And then you hear, oh, Trump, well, he actually does much better. If you look at the polls, he's probably 6 points ahead. Whatever. Don't listen to it. Just do your thing and vote and do the right thing. And for Trump, I will say this. When the numbers are close, he behaves a little better. Do you notice that? He kind of does. Because he even though he knows what I'm saying is true, he behaves. It's like Austin Powers. Behave. He does. It makes him focus. And he knows this is close. Think about in Pennsylvania. What was the last time around? It was 80,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Was that what? I think 80 plus, not even 81,000 votes that the campaign officials say Trump lost by. So these elections are tight and they are close. So everybody has to be on their game. Put your game face on. Make sure that you vote. And I was heartened this morning. I was kind of shocked when Nick Cale, did you hear him say this morning that his wife, longtime Democrat, that Kristen, and I hope he didn't out her. I hope he asked her for permission.
Yeah,
you think he did?
Gee, I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
I guess we'll know come tomorrow, right? See if he gets any sleep tonight.
He could be in big trouble,
Yeah,
quite frankly.
He might be on the couch.
Because he says, oh, yeah, I think my wife might actually vote Trump, which I think that would be, so that would show to me that she was somebody who's a busy mom, driving around the kids, and was listening to the so-called legacy media, and now maybe she's listening, to her husband. And not that she's believing her husband. What do you do as a wife, especially? What do I do if I think I want to win I'm never going to admit that I lost an argument to my husband. It's a lair bear.
No.
That would never happen.
Never.
Ever. Right?
I'm with you there.
Right?
No one ever wants to admit they lost.
No. Especially to your life partner.
Yeah.
Right? Or your girlfriend, your boyfriend. So what do you do? I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to look this information up. And then lo and behold, what do you realize? Oh, dang, he's right. So maybe that's happening across the nation. I always say, do your own homework, do the due diligence that you deserve and our nation deserves. 855-839-1210. Do I have time to take a quick call? No, I have to. Yeah, one. Okay, one. Ed in the Northeast. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Dawn. How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Dawn, I see you're steadfast on the natural gas. What's going on in Pennsylvania with the fracking? Are you interested in knowing about cracking?
Cracking?
Cracking is, well, the process was, I'm a historian of the natural gas with the city. So from 1836, when the city municipally owned a gas company, I'm not going to mention the name, but from 1836 all the way up to 1949, they used to process the gas methane out of coal. So in these manufacturing plants in Passyunk and the one along the Delaware River, they used to put the coal inside these big giant furnaces, and when it's superheated, they used to inject water and force the coal to explode, which released the methane. And the methane was like a 300 BTU value. So when natural gas was discovered in Texas in 1939, they didn't know what to do with it. So believe it or not, they gave it to a local school, and like 600 children passed away because there was a leak underneath at the school.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a known fact. I mean, you looked it up. And Adolf Hitler sent a letter of condolences to the president in 1939. He sent a letter to FDR. That's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. Thank you for that.
That's the cracking process.
Well, it sounds horrible. I'm just saying,
yeah.
I'm not an energy expert, but thank you for that little bit of Philadelphia history. And I'm looking, as you're talking, I'm talking about the cleanup from that situation. And I still wonder, about, and that's just it, that of course we all care about clean air and clean water. And if we just look at the facts and look at what's happening around us and make sure that nothing is politicized, that in fact we have clean air and clean water, that's it. And that career politicians, trust me, if they cannot campaign on something, if they're incentivized purely by solving problems, it's better for every one of us. That is the truth. And so when you see somebody flipping in this way, it should be concerning. When you see somebody, whoever they are, but if there's somebody who's been in the political sphere, as Kamala Harris has been, right? Trump, not so much. But when you see them flipping and going from saying, in one situation, yes, 100%, I'm going to ban this, I think it's bad, I would have more respect for her if she knew more about it and could explain the process and say, you know what, here's what I'm for. I'm for XYZ, and I support such and such, and I don't support XYZ because I've been consistent. I look for consistency with people. I look with patterns, look for those patterns with people. Do you trust what they're saying? And so for me, that cracking situation, now we have a different crack problem in Philadelphia, and I'm not being funny here, but that one I'd never heard of. So thank you for that. 855-839-1210. Quick break. Be right back.
Weather sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
I thought he was kidding at first when he said...
The dry weather pattern remains in place through the rest of the work week. Mixture of sunshine and clouds today, still comfortable with a high of around 80. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 64 for the city, cooler in the suburbs. And for Friday, a little bit more humid, partly to mostly cloudy, with a high again near 80.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Today, we're the largest injury firm in the world, and I'm thankful to you for trusting us all these years. We'll always be here for the people, not the powerful. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Turn off the financial news and turn on a great retirement. Find out how with Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sundays at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, it's Greg with Kale & Company. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sportsbook. We have something a little different for you. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. Trust me, I have NFL Sunday Ticket for YouTube TV. You get picture-in-picture, so you can watch multiple games. If you have a little skin in the game, it makes it that much more impressive. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Greg, FanDuel.com/Greg to download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT, 21 and over, President PA. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after the free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano for my friend, dentist and board-certified prosthodontist Dr. Robert Bentz and the Bentz Dental Group. His state-of-the-art facility makes your dentistry as easy as can be. Recently, they had a permanent tooth put in, and you know how it is. In the past, you bite down, it's too high, it's always too high. The back and forth getting it just right. Well, not this time. With Dr. Bentz, it fit perfectly the first time. Call the Bentz Dental Group now, 610-272-6949. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com, 610-272-6949.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-246-0553. 800-246-0553. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-246-0553.
Do you have a property that you no longer want? Maybe you inherited the property. Maybe you're underwater in the property. Or maybe you're just a tired landlord, tired of dealing with tenants. Listen, I can buy those properties, and I'll buy those properties fast. I can close in 2 weeks. I buy properties cash. My name is Larry Steinhaus. Give me a call at 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137, and I will personally answer the call. You can also visit EasyOutRealEstate.com. Hey, Hey, this is Larry Steinhaus from Investor Schooling. Did you know I have a radio show every Saturday from 1 to 3? It's called The Larry Steinhaus Show, and it's sponsored by Investor Schooling. On this show, you will learn things about finances and things about money that you never knew before. But even more of a reason to listen to this show is how much fun we have. If you haven't heard the banter between me, Omri, and Dr. Deb, you haven't heard the greatest show on earth. Listen to this show this Saturday at 1 o'clock right here on WPHT, and I promise you will learn something.
Hey, Ambler. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Follow us anywhere on the free Odyssey app.
So within the past few minutes, a major breaking story I reported to you starting at 6 o'clock this morning that, of course, as scheduled, Hunter Biden was making his way to court, and this was for jury selection, those tax-related charges. His attorney, Abby Lowell, has come out, and this is a huge story, as just before the jury selection actually began, reports of a plea deal with first son, Hunter Biden, and this would be before his second trial this year. And he's the only surviving son, as you know, of President Joe Biden. Hunter Biden, the first offspring of a sitting president to stand trial on criminal charges. And now we have reports of a plea deal that has been cut. We don't have all the conditions of the plea deal. They have not yet been, fully disclosed. And then as well, the judge has to accept this because clearly this is the day where they start choosing the jury. And so a judge has every right to say, no, you know what? I don't accept the plea deal. Now this is this judge is in California, right? This one's in California. And so in Los Angeles. So will the judge accept it? Probably. But this news arrives after Biden and his attorneys had a private meeting, we're told, that happened before court this morning with the judge, who's identified as U.S. District Judge Mark Scarsi, who is presiding over the case. He's 54 years old. Hunter Biden, remember, indicted back in December, 3 felony, 6 misdemeanor counts alleging he failed to pay his taxes during that period when he said he was in the throes of drug addiction, but says that afterward he did get sober. And so this indictment accused Biden of engaging in a 4-year scheme to avoid paying about $1.4 million in federal taxes that he owed for the years, 2016 through 2019. And so I think this was the one, that they were saying, remember this? And people were joking about it, that, escorts, luxury hotels, rental properties, exotic, cars, clothing, all of that's a huge write-off. You can totally write that off. I mean, right there, I would think you could say, Your Honor, who would ever try to write off, an escort or a hooker or what have you? Obviously, I was on drugs. I mean, I have no idea if that, but in any event, those people were making those jokes. And so this is a very serious case. It carries, prison time and federal prison time, which there's no double time in federal prison. So he has, according to his attorney, he is a very prominent attorney. Abby Lowell needs no introduction. So will he be able to cut this deal? Will the judge allow it? And no doubt this is obviously a major developing story and a breaking news story that's taking over national news, and so much that's going to be happening as it happens every day during the Dom Giordano show. So this is going on with Hunter Biden, and will they accept the plea deal? What are the terms of the deal? We have so many questions. Will President Joe Biden comment about it? Probably not. And then we have reportedly Donald J. Trump is going to be speaking moments away. So a lot going on for the Dom show. Do we have Dom? Are we doing a tease? Hey, Dom Giordano.
Hey, thanks, Dawn. Yes, we are. Dawn, this whole thing with the Russians, Mediaite that you and I both use,
yes,
they go bridges too far. The angle on the other side, they're saying, why is it all these conservatives and Trump supporters are running down America? We're not running down America. And they're trying to tag in Ronald Reagan to say he would be appalled by Trump. He'd be appalled by conservatives today. The guy that they savaged, I would say almost as much as Trump, tagging him in.
Here we go. And that's Merrick Garland for you. He's completely objective. There's no political agenda to see here.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, a lot of fast breaking news, and Dom Giordano has got it all, plus his brilliant analysis coming right up.